In Washington, Republicans in Congress are moving forward with efforts to impeach Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas. His critics accuse him of not enforcing immigration laws. Texas Congressman Michael McCaul is one of those critics, and as chair of the House Foreign Affairs Committee, his voice is influential. Politics reporter Monica Madden spoke with the congressman about why he thinks impeachment is the right move.
Congressman McCaul, thank you so much for joining us today. Obviously, big news in Washington this week is the House beginning the impeachment process of DHS Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas. Given your legal background, what specific actions or inactions from the secretary do you think warrant his impeachment, aside from his rescission of the MPP policy, which you've talked about as being one of those key reasons that he should be impeached?
Right. I think it's a failure to follow and execute the law, the failure to detain and remove those coming into the country illegally, which is what Remain in Mexico did. And on day one, he rescinded that policy and went back to well, quite frankly, we've never experienced this kind of lack of law enforcement where you have 8 million people encounters with no legal status. You've had over 300 on the terror watch list come in, and we've had 150,000 people dead now due to fentanyl deaths, many in the Austin area, by the way. I can't get into names, but people, friends of my kids from Westlake High School, they took what they thought was Xanax, was laced with fentanyl, and they don't wake up. But going back to what the founding fathers envisioned, they didn't even envision a specific violation of a federal criminal statute. They didn't have very many at that time. They talked about things like abuse of power and neglect of duty, dereliction of duty. Hamilton talked in the Federalist Papers about injuries done immediately to society itself, which clearly there's been a lot of damage to the fabric of America over the last 2.5, 3 years due to this secretary's inaction and failure to follow the law, and also his just abuse of power. I tell you, back home, I deal as chairman of foreign affairs with a lot of other issues like Israel and, Russia and Ukraine and China and the threat to Taiwan. But this is always the number one issue, is the threat to from the southern border, and how can we fix it? So I'm a voice for about 800,000 people. They're very loud and clear what they want me to say up here, and that is that they're fed up. They think this man should be removed from office. And they want him impeached.
Which do you think would have more immediate results for the country when it comes to border policy, the impeachment of Secretary Mayorkas or congressional reform on border policy? I know that's something that you all are working on, but should Congress be more focused on trying to get the Secure the Border Act across the finish line?
I almost see them working in tandem together, because it gives us leverage and strength to say, look, the American people are fed up with your conduct, with your abuse of power, your neglect of duty, and they want you to do your job. So we're going to impeach in the House. It's not going to go anywhere in the Senate probably, but you need to come to the table and change these policies now. And now is the time, as we're facing a potential looming government shutdown, which I never like those. All that does is hurts our national defense, our military. I'd far prefer to have a continuing resolution where we can get the business of government done, fund the government, and include a major border policy, national security change of policy that will fix this border. We had this thing done. When I chaired Homeland Security Committee, we literally had it to the point where we had stopped the flow into the country. We were going to build a detention facility in southern Mexico on the Guatemalan border that would process these individuals. And we finally had a system that was going to work. And then Mayorkas came in and changed everything.
Democrats who support Mayorkas say impeachment is a power reserved for high crimes and misdemeanors. They say it should not apply to a disagreement over how Mayorkas does his job. There's much more to our interview with Congressman McCaul, including his thoughts on the risk of a government shutdown and military action against Iranian-backed militants in the Middle East. You can see the full interview now in the State of Texas section of our website. Texas braces for an Arctic blast, but will your power stay on amid the sub-freezing weather? Why state leaders and energy experts are offering assurance and caution. And later, a final farewell to Eddie Bernice Johnson, the tributes from Texas leaders and national figures.